Let's talk about resilience. You know, when a crisis hits, some organizations they seem to crumble, while others just keep on going. What's the difference? Well, a lot of the time, it comes down to being prepared. Today, we're going to break down the international blueprint for that kind of survival, ISO 22301. It's basically a standard designed to help any organization, big or small, withstand the unexpected.
But let me start with a question for you. Just think about it for a second. If a key supplier suddenly vanished, or a critical IT system went down, or you couldn't even get into your main office, how long would you have? Days, hours, maybe even just minutes? This isn't some hypothetical exercise, you know? It's the core question every single organization really needs to have an answer for.
And the answer to that question? Well, it's all wrapped up in this idea, business continuity. Now, this isn't about trying to prevent every single possible problem. That's impossible. It's about having the proven, tested capability to keep delivering your most important services even when things go sideways.
So let's dive into that. Let's talk about when disruption strikes, because honestly, it's the universal challenge for every business out there. And I mean every organization. This isn't just a concern for giant global corporations. A local nonprofit can be just as crippled by a flood as a tech giant is by a cyber attack. The threats are everywhere. So the real question isn't if a disruption will happen, it's when. And the only thing that matters then is whether you've built the muscle memory to respond effectively.
Okay, so that brings us to the solution, the formal framework that helps you build that muscle memory. It's called a Business Continuity Management System, or you'll hear it called a BCMS.
The best way to think about a BCMS is like an immune system for your organization. Seriously, it's not some dusty plan you write once and stick on a shelf. It's a living, breathing system that's designed to control, evaluate, and constantly improve your ability to handle a crisis. It's always on, always looking for threats, so it can mobilize a defense.
So what holds this whole thing up? Well, a strong BCMS is really built on 4 key pillars. First, you have to align your plan with what your business is actually trying to achieve, what's most important to protect. Then, you build the actual processes to survive a disruption. But you can't just set it and forget it. You have to constantly monitor and review how things are going. And finally, you have to be committed to improving, all based on what the data and your tests are telling you.
All right, let's move on to the real core of this system, how it actually builds your defense. This is where the heavy lifting happens, figuring out what's important and what threatens it.
Now, there are 2 terms here that people get confused about all the time, but the difference is absolutely critical. Business Impact Analysis, or BIA, and Risk Assessment. Think of it like this. The BIA figures out what you need to protect by asking, if this thing breaks, how badly does it hurt us? It's all about setting priorities. Then, the risk assessment looks at those critical things and asks, okay, what's most likely to break them? They're really 2 sides of the same coin, and you need both to build a solid defense.
And the result of all that analysis is something incredibly practical. It helps you define a crucial number, the maximum tolerable period of disruption. It's a bit of a mouthful, but in simple terms, it's your deadline. It tells you the absolute latest you can get a critical process back online before real, unacceptable damage starts to happen.
So, once you've done that initial deep dive, the rest of the process it flows pretty logically. You start with step 1, analyze and assess. Based on what you find, you move to step 2, strategize and solve, where you figure out the best solutions for your biggest risks. Then you turn that strategy into action in step 3, plan and prepare. But maybe the most important step is last. Step 4, exercise and validate. You have to test your plans. You have to find the flaws before a real crisis does it for you.
But here's the thing, right? A plan that never gets updated is a plan that's pretty much guaranteed to fail. And that's exactly why this entire system is built on a framework that keeps it strong and relevant. It's all about continual improvement.
So how do you keep this whole system from getting stale? Well, the engine that drives it is a simple but really powerful cycle you might have heard of: Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA. Let's quickly break that down. It all starts, logically enough, with plan. This is where you establish your policy, your objectives, your processes. You're basically building the foundation.
Next up, you do. You take those plans and you put them into action. This is where theory becomes reality.
From there, you check. You're constantly monitoring, you're reviewing performance, you're looking for gaps, and you're seeing what's actually working and what's not. And finally, you act on what you found. You take corrective actions, you make improvements, and all of that feeds directly back into a smarter, stronger plan for the next cycle. And that is the power of this loop. It transforms business continuity from being a one-time project into a dynamic, living part of your company's culture. It forces the system to learn and evolve, which ensures that your resilience keeps up as your business, and let's face it, the world around it is constantly changing.
So, we've covered the how. Let's circle all the way back to the why. What are the real, tangible benefits of doing all this work? Why does this really matter to you?
And look, the benefits here are huge. We're talking about protecting your reputation. I mean, nothing builds trust with customers like being the one company that's reliable during a crisis. That right there gives you a real competitive advantage. It also actively reduces the financial damage from disruptions, and it lowers your legal exposure. Ultimately, it builds true organizational resilience. And it proves to everyone, your customers, your investors, your regulators, that you are serious about managing risk.
You know, the impact actually goes way beyond just one company. As the standard itself points out, when individual organizations get more resilient, that effect ripples outward. Supply chains get stronger, communities are better served, and society as a whole just becomes more robust and able to handle shocks.
Which really leaves us with one final question to think about. Built-in resilience, it isn't just about weathering the storm. It's about being able to operate, adapt, and maybe even grow right through it. So is your organization just preparing to survive, or is it building the capability to thrive no matter what comes next?